Hi, Dr. Lovely. So
Hello,
happy to
ma'am.
have you with us. A very, very big congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Like I
Thank
was
you.
saying, when I got to know that I'll be interviewing you, all I could say was, Lovely must be feeling lovely.
Uh, Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your kind words.
Has it sunk in?
Not yet.
So, why don't you tell us how you got to know your result, what you were telling me?
Actually, ma'am, I was occupied with something yesterday, so I did not get to know when the result was announced. My husband called me and he said, "You got a rank of 9." I said, "You must be
Wow.
joking." I need to see it myself. So it was too overwhelming for me, ma'am.
I can imagine. But this is such a happy thing, right? Someone else,
Yeah,
someone so
yeah, true,
close telling
ma'am.
you that you've got such a good rank.
Yeah,
Why don't you
yes, ma'am.
introduce yourselves for everyone who's listening? Where are you from? Where have you done your undergrad and postgrad? What are you currently doing?
Okay, ma'am. I'm Dr. Lovely Rai, as you have already mentioned. I have
Yes.
done my undergrad from Darbhanga Medical College. It's in Bihar. And following that, I did my PG from Nalanda Medical College, Patna. I passed
Okay.
in January 2025.
Oh, so you're a fresher. You gave the exam just after passing out from your
I
post-graduation.
gave this March exam also, ma'am, the one which was held in March 2025. I gave that also. So it was my second attempt, actually.
So, what do you think changed from March till now?
First, ma'am, my perspective towards the exam changed a lot because in March I gave it just for the sake of giving the exam. I was not ready
Hmm.
for it. I passed in January. I got married in Feb, so I was carried away by everything going over then, and I just so my husband just said, and my one of my senior also, they forced me actually just fill the form
Hmm.
and we'll see. So I just gave the exam for the sake of giving it.
In
And
March.
then I was occupied. Yeah, yes, ma'am. I did not study anything. I just went and gave it. So then
What
after
was your
that, I was
rank
not
in the
see.
ma
Ma'am, it was very
What was
poor.
your
It was
rank in the March exam?
323. It was 323,
Oh,
ma'am. It was very poor. Yeah.
did that inspire you that you should do better and give it again?
Actually, ma'am, that I thought that I would never be able to make it. So initially, I thought, okay, it's not possible for me. So maybe I just should leave. So I did not study anything for for the next 2 to 3 months. I joined my bond. I was occupied there. We have to serve bond, ma'am, in Bihar. After doing our PGship, we had to do bond services. So I was occupied there. Then there I realized, no, I need to do something because just doing PG
Something
isn't
different,
enough.
something better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Just doing PG isn't enough. I need to learn so many things. So I decided
So
I'll give
from
it a
a
sincere
rank
try.
of over 300 to a single digit rank, how do you think you changed your preparation? Of course, you're saying that in the first attempt you were unprepared. But what do
Yeah.
you think, once you decided that you want to give the exam properly, you started doing? How many months of preparation was involved?
Ma'am, I started in by July last. I started, and
Okay.
since then I was studying. Whatever time I used to get, I was studying only. Apart from
So
my
how many
duty
hours a
hours,
day?
yeah. Ma'am, I never actually calculated the hours, but 6 to 8 hours I used to try to get the time so that I can make it.
And how did you start? Because I think a lot of students struggle with this. They decide that they want to give the exam. And,
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yes,
initial
ma'am.
part, they are like, okay, we'll give it, we'll study this also, that also. But I think starting is what's difficult because they don't understand how to prepare. It's so different from the postgraduate MCQ exam.
Yes, ma'am, it's so true because I myself had gone through this. So I thought, कि, okay, just let's start with ops itself because ops we used to read a lot in our PG days. So I thought,
Yes.
okay, Then I used to fix days so that I'll do ops for 5 days. Then I will do gynae. I'll finish in 5 days. I'll do gynae onco for this many days. So I used to make targets so that I can finish it. I used to do it and do the Q banks then, and that was
Did
all
you
that I
have
did.
a timetable, Dr. Lovely, that you adhered to?
No, no, ma'am, not a such a timetable. I just used to have a time frame that I have to cover this subject into this many days, and I used to just go by it. I did not have a particular timetable that I'll wake up and this and I'll study for this many hours. I never did that.
Which aspect or subspecialty do you think was harder? A lot of students find gynae oncology to be the
Yeah, to me
hardest
also, ma'am.
part.
Yeah, especially, ma'am, we don't have exposure of gynae oncology in our medical college. So gynae oncology
True,
was
yes.
especially it's the hardest one. Infertility, also there was not much of exposure, but at least the IUI part was to be done, and
Yes.
this ovulation induction. We used to do that in our PG, but gynae oncology was was totally different for us. So we used to refer them to higher center as soon as the biopsy report
Hmm.
says it's cancer, just refer to higher
Hmm.
center. That's all. So it was tough for me too.
Yeah, I think if you've not done the clinical aspect of oncology, it's very
Yes, ma'am.
difficult to understand, especially because the gradings and the staging keeps changing. So it's very difficult to
Yeah,
remember.
it's true, ma'am, and especially the management part. Howsoever you read that these structures are to be cut, if we haven't seen through your eyes, we are going to mess it up in the examination. That's what I
Now that
believe.
we are actually discussing gynae onco in such details, I think you should tell us which books did you read, or did you actually go through guidelines? Were you only reading the material available on Marrow, specifically for gynae
And
oncology?
during my PG, ma'am, I read Barak and Novak for gynae oncology part, and I had made my notes. But there were so many changes and updates in that. Endometrial cancer staging has changed,
Yes,
and so many changes
yes,
were there. So after that, I just trusted on Marrow. Okay, I will go by it. Every update will be there because I had also prepared for my NEET PG from Marrow only, so I had a huge faith in it. So I thought, okay, I'll go
yes.
by it. It has all the content, I guess. So, and it
Yeah,
truly
I think
had.
that's what's necessary. If you've read good books, in your post graduation, your base and foundation is very strong. And having your own notes, and if you actually add on to that with guidelines and material available, that can really be helpful.
Yeah, yeah, true, ma'am.
What about reproductive medicine? How did you go about that? Did you read Speroff?
No, I did not read Speroff, ma'am. I read Williams only. I did not go to Speroff
Hmm.
in PG. Yeah, yeah. I
And
had read
so
from
when you
Williams.
had
I had made my notes. Yeah.
So you had made notes for all three, the basic primary feeder
Yes,
specialty and a little bit of gynae, onco, and reproductive medicine with your postgrad. So I think those notes
yes, ma'am.
must have been very, very good.
Yes, ma'am. Because initially I used to think that I'll go for the NEET SS during my PG days, but since as I said, I was so much occupied. I had my marriage also in Feb. Then there was my exam in Jan, and then again this NEET. I just quit at the last step. So I was reading
Hmm.
during my PG days. I made all the notes. So that helped a
I think
lot
everyone
actually.
should actually remember this then, that reading good books in your postgraduate level itself, takes you up a notch, because if you
Yeah,
read them properly, it's really helpful, and then you are able to absorb the guidelines that are available.
yeah, true, ma'am.
Did you also give the routine tests at Marrow? Did you find them
Yes,
very
yes, ma'am.
useful?
Yes, ma'am. I had given all the tests, all the grand tests I had given. I had given the mini tests that were available. I also did the Q bank twice. Marrow was the sole source of my preparation. Then I thought to
That's
give it,
actually
just go by
so
it.
heartening to hear that you were able to get your rank from 323 to a single digit rank only with your notes and a little help from Marrow giving you latest updates.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
an exam, Do you think it was similar to the last year exams? Because in the past 2, 3 years, they've shifted to a more practical approach, and they ask a lot of questions from obstetrics now. So, Dr. Lovely, I was just trying to understand from you that when you decided to appear for this exam and you've already given it in March and then you gave it again, what difference have you seen in the pattern? In the last few years, they've started asking more questions from the feeder specialty actually. Earlier, it was very heavy on gynae onco itself, but now it's shifted to an equal base. What was your experience? What did you think?
Yes, ma'am. The question paper was totally different. The one that I had given in March and the one that I had given in December, they were totally two different papers, actually.
Which
In
part
March,
do you think was asked more? Hmm.
ma'am, the question were more from the super specialty subjects. What I remember as for now. The question were more from super specialty. So there were fewer questions from obstetrics and there were certain number of questions from gynecology, general gynecology. But this year, ma'am, the question were more of the practical and clinical scenarios. There was there were, I guess, 8 to 10 questions from pediatrics group also, and these were not very easy questions. Yeah,
Hmm.
so the question paper were, and they focused more on that um, post-operative cases were there. Post-operative cases questions were there. So question pattern was, ma'am, totally different. And obstetrics
If
was,
you,
yes, sorry, ma'am.
no, no, please continue.
I said there were so many questions from obstetrics part also this time. I stopped reading obstetrics during the last 10 days, thinking that there are very few questions. But this
Hmm.
time the scenario was totally different.
Yeah, I remember in 2023 also they had done something similar. Before that, they were asking questions more about super specialty, then it completely shifted to the feeder specialty. So glad to hear that they've come back again to more clinical questions. Do you think it helped that, you worked in your clinics, you were continuing to work, so you were, very focused on practical aspect and that helps you answer questions, or it was more theoretical?
No, ma'am. If you have, if one has worked during their residency and they have seen good cases, they can make through this exam just because it was not like mugged up questions were not there. You have to think critically. You have to focus. Uh, well, you have to think practically and analytically, ma'am. It was not that someone can mug up and just make through the paper. It was too tough.
They were not questions which were asked directly, case
Yeah,
scenarios, and you had to really think,
yeah,
put two and two
yes, ma'am.
together.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember any important topics that you think were asked more than once, or recent guidelines that they asked and you think that you had covered them with marrow or just by yourself also and that has helped you?
Ma'am, my sole preparation was from marrow. So whatever I have done and whatever
Hmm.
I have been able to make it through this only through marrow only. So there's not a single topic I would say. I would say my sole preparation was based on marrow. So yeah,
That's
yes, in
actually
obstetrics there are so many
amazing.
questions from ectopic pregnancy and molar pregnancy. What I remember so far.
Yeah, those guidelines have also been changing their management. So they've been
Yes.
asking, what about cancers? Which one do you think was asked more if someone wants to start preparing from a gynae perspective?
Ma'am, endometrial cancer and cervical cancer covered the maximum of the gynae oncology portion. Also, the vulval cancers were given importance. And frankly saying, ma'am, I don't remember the questions of
Yeah, your
right now.
brain tends to block it once you've done, finish now, next thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a dream college in mind? Have you thought about where you'd like to go?
Ma'am, I had thought of TMH, but I won't be able to make through it, I guess. So I'll
Let's
see.
hope for the best. You never know, counseling tends to surprise all of us.
Yeah, I'm also hoping that, ma'am, it will be like a dream come true to me.
No, let's all pray that you get your dream college and maybe, next year you're telling everyone that you should keep on, going after your dream, you will achieve it.
Yeah. Let's hope for the
So
best, ma'am. Yeah.
that's very nice. A very, very big congratulations.
Thank
Just
you. Thank
before
you
we
so much, ma'am.
summarize, I want you to just tell us in 2 or 3 lines if someone who's listening to us and would actually like to start preparing. How do they start and what all things should they keep in mind? Is it a schedule? Is it tests? Is it guidelines?
Ma'am, the greatest factor which I find is this reluctance to start because there are very fewer seats in obstetrics and gynecology specialties. So people like me tend to think that we will not be able to make it. So they leave it midway, which I had also
Yes.
done. So I feel that one should have what one should have is just have this belief that that they can do it. If I am able to do it, I guess everyone will be able to do it. And
You've
everybody
put it
knows
together
that,
so sweetly.
yeah. And everybody has the map. They know all the books. They have access to the app. They know everything. But this is the key factor, I guess. This the motivation that okay, I'll be able to make it is the biggest thing. I guess.
True, I agree. I know so many people who struggle with starting or they leave midway because they become clueless. They don't know what to follow with so much information. You have said this so many times in, the past couple of minutes that you had one source of preparation. So, you are concentrating on one thing, finishing one thing, and that's clearly visible in your improvement of rank also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm a firm believer of this. Rather than going on reading so many things, just read one thing multiple times. I believe that the teacher knows all. I believe on that the teacher who is teaching knows all. He will give us the all the information that are needed. So I go blindly by my teachers.
That's lovely to hear. It's amazing. So, so happy for you. A very big congratulations. Hope you
Thank
get
you
your
so much,
dream
ma'am.
college.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you,
I
my
wish
lovely.
it comes true. Thank you,
It
ma'am.
definitely will. Definitely.